But it's not possible to turn around more than a decade of poor economic growth and stagnant living standards in just a few months.
Hello NVUK and welcome back to the channel. I'm Pete and I'm going to just take you through very quickly, very easily, what is happening here in talks, there's headlines. UK is getting for recession. I actually believe it, and here's why. Not only for the fact that I've been a businessman for the last 20 years, so I understand the ebbs and flows of the economy and how that's going to affect people from business owners, the civil department, right through to the end user, you guys at home, people who are buying things on the front line, toilet roll, butter, toothpaste. Inflation will start to rampage now because when growth drops, inflation rises, the Bank of England takes action and increases interest rates to offset inflation. The whole economy is, if you're paying more money for your mortgage, you haven't got enough money to spend in the shops. Therefore, the price of things come down to entice you to go to the shops to buy some stuff. See how that cyclical, you know what I mean, that circular economy works? So what's happened is we got news earlier today that the ONS has reported out that the economy has shrunk by 0.3%. So we're currently going into the next spring statement at 0.1% growth down. Now, the reason that growth has dropped is for two reasons mainly. The first reason is a reduction in output on our production sector and manufacturing sectors. So let me explain a bit more detail. With the North Sea gas and oil production, due to Ed Miliband's stupid policies, this has actually dropped by a whopping 3.7% drop in productivity. Now this is detrimental because if we don't get our own liquid gold, as Donald Trump calls it, our own oil and our own gas, we have to get it from somewhere else. So it's detrimental in two facts. Firstly, we have to pay somebody, probably a country that hates us, to supply us with oil and gas. That's one thing. So we're paying over the odds for something that we already have. The second thing is the whole transportation and logistics of that product. We have to bring it in from overseas, which means therefore we're paying transportation costs on top of the increased cost of the product, i.e. the profit margin, and we're going to be marked down because of the amount of carbon used in the transport of that gas to our country. Now, you might argue that because we didn't make the gas and oil in this country, we didn't produce it, our carbon count is lower. Well, no, because we still have to import it. Just because we didn't make the carbon, produce the carbon by producing oil and gas, carbon is produced, people, by everything that we do. By breathing, we're breathing carbon. By moving over there, we're creating carbon. Carbon is not just depositories of natural energy, i.e. gas, coal, etc. It's created, it's all around us, carbon. Now, by buying oil and gas from another country, we're not saving the planet. We're just allowing that country to detriment the planet whilst we have less production carbon. It's a joke. So manufacturing production is down. Construction is at 0.2%, which is lower than it was in the last quarter. Construction, the reason I mention this is it's often used as a barometer in how the economy is going. If construction slows down, the economy is slowing down. And I know this, I've been in commercial construction for 20 years. When construction increases, the economy increases because there's more jobs, there's more buildings, the buildings are open to mixed use. Is it shops at the bottom, offices above that, residential above that, mixed use buildings? They are built in abundance to support a growing economy. Well, due to the October budget by Rachel Reeves, she completely decimated everything. Unbelievable, shameful attack on pretty much every demographic of society. Only recently this week I reported on her going after the disabled welfare PIP benefits, which will affect a lot of people. So whilst the extraction of gas and oil is down by 3.7%, manufacturing is down by 1.1%. The director of the ONS economic statistics had quoted, "The figures show continued low growth," and that's quoting Liz McKeown directly. So what else have we got to say about this? So what does Rachel Reeves say about this? Well, Rachel Reeves is quoted, "Britain is feeling the consequences as the world has changed." Well, she's not accepting that her fiscal policies are absolutely atrocious. She's trying to blame the world. Now, this is a joke. This is an absolute joke, because what that is saying is the world has changed. She's trying to offshore the blame onto other countries. Let's put the USA into context here. So the USA are entering into reciprocal tariffs. That's the word that the mainstream media don't like to report on, the word reciprocal tariffs. Now, reciprocal tariffs are if we're charging the US 20% on all of our goods going to them, they are going to charge us 20% back on any goods that we buy from them. Easy, reciprocal. You charge 20, we charge 20. What the US has realised over the last 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration is probably equally as competent as Rachel Reeves. They've realised that there's countries like the EU charging them 50% or whatever ludicrous. That's not a factual fact. Charging a high rate of tariff, and the USA has not been charging it back. They are losing money and making the EU stronger. So the same difference. Rachel Reeves has started to float the idea that tariffs are the detriment to the UK's economy. Well, let me tell you, we are in surplus to the USA. So we are not going to be affected by tariffs because we sell more to the USA than the US sells to us. We are in a cash-rich position. The EU has a deficit, which means they actually take 180 odd billion euros worth of products more than the US takes from them. So a tariff on the EU is going to be mind-blowingly buckling. And are we glad we're not in the EU anymore? Yes, we are. So who else have we got? So we've got Mel Stride, the shadow chancellor. He's come out to quote, and I'm going to read this. "It's no surprise that growth is down again following a near no growth in 2024. After consistently talking the UK down, raising taxes to record highs and crushing business with their extreme employment legislation, this government is a growth killer. Labour inherited the fastest growing economy in the G7, but since they arrived, business has failed." That's a big statement right there. But you know, it just leads, he's basically talking that in October when Rachel Reeves when Rachel Reeves made her budget statement, £9.9 billion she had in headroom. But thanks ever so much to higher than expected inflation, stagnated growth and borrowing costs, in her own words, have absolutely wiped that headroom out. Now, I don't believe that. I believe that it's these stupid deals that David Lammy, what an idiot, my opinion only, Keir Starmer, completely out of his depth, have imposed. Every time they go abroad, here's another 30 million. There's another 30 million. Oh yeah, you can have 11 million. Oh, Chagos Islands, don't even get me started on that can of worms. Have 19 billion pounds. Hang on, that's 3 billion pounds short of the black hole left to us by the Conservatives apparently. So by just doing that deal that we didn't need to do, they have damaged the economy by a further 19 billion pounds, which would just somebody in the comments section make this make sense for me. Do leave me a comment, let me know what you think of this. I must get better at talking about comments earlier in the video as well. So there you go. Right, what else have we got on the story? I think personally the UK is going to go into recession. because there's not enough business optimism out there at the moment amongst business leaders. Being a business leader previously, I can tell you now, optimism is key for driving success in business. If you don't have optimism, enthusiasm and motivation, and the utter belief that what you're doing in your business is going to change lives and make things better, then your business sucks. Your business is not a business, it's a civil servancy. But there you go. How else can we avoid these big tax looming, this big recession looming? You've got to give tax breaks to business. You've got to give them the tax breaks to put the money back in them so that they can flourish. I would say that you should, the foreign criminals from our prisons, that would free up a lot of money. I think you should scrap the taxes on farmers, because farmers are actually creating wealth by export. And I also think that this latest hit to farmers is completely below the belt. So what they've done is they've paused their sustainable farming subsidiary policy, which basically says that if you're a farmer and you've got X amount of land, if you portion off a section of that land and just let it grow naturally, i.e. not farm it, we'll give you thousands and thousands of pounds for doing your part. So a lot of farmers have actually allocated that land to do this naturism, and at a cost. They don't make quite as much money as they would. They're doing it because they see the benefits of sustainable agriculture. Then what's the incentive? What is the incentive to be natural on that land? There isn't now. Now there's not a financial reward for being in that fashion. People won't do it, but it all adds to the land grab that Labour are operating at the moment. The land grab is sinister. They want to put the inheritance tax on the farmers, get them priced out, to have to sell the land that they can then give to the companies like BlackRock or big developers who will then concrete it over and put in either green initiatives that are actually detrimental. Because why are we doing solar farms? I mean, who lives in the UK? Sunny about 4 days a year, right? So pointless. Wind farms, pointless. We need to be looking at hydro. We need to be looking at all sorts of things. I just don't think they've got a handle on it. Ed Miliband is just a menace to society, a menace to your wallet. And for that deserves a comment or two. Anyway, I've digressed away from recession. All of these mitigating factors will push into recession. We need to lift the legislation on businesses, give them freedom, lift the tax on business, give them finance. It's the private sector that pushes the UK, not the states. There's not really much more money. There's no money left to tax us, Rachel Reeves, Keir Starling. So, go away. Just do the population a favour and resign today. And on that note, it's Pete from NVUK.